DANConversations. Antuan Byers, interviewed by Joy Marie Thompson.
All right. Boom. Antuan!
What's up? How's it going? Yeah, so excited to be here and be talking with you of all people.
Yay! I'm so
Yeah.
excited for this too. I'm so excited for Dank's community to just keep growing and growing and for us to find new pathways to talk to each other and just do things like this.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. This is really exciting. Y'all are killing it. So, yes.
Thank you. All from your leadership. So, I want you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Cool. So, hey y'all, my name is Antuan Byers. I use he, him pronouns. If you can't see me, I am currently zooming in on the stolen Lenape-Hoking land, which most of us know as Manhattan, New York. I am zooming in from the office area of my apartment. So behind me, to my left, is a beanbag chair with a gray throw blanket on it. And then to my right is a full-length mirror with some abstract art on top. And if you look really close, you can see my hanging plant, and there's also a hanging light back there. I am wearing a black kind of boxy cut shirt with the sleeves rolled, and a silver necklace and an Apple Watch. And I am a proud Black man with beautiful chocolate skin, black hair that I just cut by myself here at Quarantine Cuts. And yes, I am a dancer, creative entrepreneur, and arts activist based here in New York. I'm originally from the great city of Dallas, Texas, where I was raised all the way until I moved here for college. And yeah, that's the skinny. I'm sure we'll dig a little bit deeper as we go into more of this conversation. But yeah.
Beautiful. I'm going to reflect your introduction and introduce myself very briefly.
Yeah, please.
My name is Joy Marie Thompson. She, her pronouns. In the back of me, we got twinkling lights. That's my background. I'm wearing a head wrap. I am a Black woman. Brown skin right now because, it's usually browner, but we've been inside.
Yes.
And I have a tie-dye shirt on and some pink on my eyes to celebrate this interview. All right, let's get started.
Let's get started. I love it all.
Antuan, why did you join DANC? Now, actually, you are a founding member of DANC. So how did that come about?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess okay, so it was founded by Evie Allison, Alex Sordabar, and David Goncier. And I joined in, I think, about 2 years after that, actually. So I don't know if I was actually a founding member, but I did come on pretty early in the game, considering where we're at right now. But I just was really, I worked with David a lot at the Met. We both danced at the Metropolitan Opera. And he was always talking about DANC. So I would kind of hear it from him, and he's really involved with AGMA and everything. So I think David was definitely my first intro, got my invite to come to this meeting. And when I showed up, it was like everything that anyone that may be watching or listening who knows me knows that when I ran into DANC and when I found DANC, it was really, I kind of found a place where I felt like I could advocate for a lot of the things that were important for me, right? So dancers being paid a fair wage for their work, a living wage for their work, to be more clear, equity within the workplace, right? Gender equity, race equity, all of those things. So to find an organization that was fighting for those things and standing for those things, it was really exciting for me to get involved with that a little bit more. So that's why I joined on. And, I had a little experience with marketing and social media. So, I felt like I had a gift there that I could offer. So that's what I did and offered my expertise there for a little bit. And I was also, or still am, on the steering committee, which is expanded, now, but helping kind of guide us along there. So that's kind of my DANC journey so far.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And you're always such like a light in the community meetings. It's so funny.
Thank you.
Briefly, and I think it was your idea to call it DANC, right? To say DANC in that way, right?
Well, it was I think before I got there, they were between Dank and just Dance Arts National Collective. And
Mhm.
I think at one point we decided to shift away from it. But you know, me and my marketing eye, I was like, wait, we have too golden of an opportunity. Like our acronym literally basically spells out dance. So we can't just like, you know what I mean? So I said, no, let's hold on to it. So I didn't invent it, but I was definitely one of the people pushing that we keep it because it's great. I mean, it's like it looks
I
like
like it.
well, it's dank, you know, so it's like a double entendre. But I was really, I was going more for just how closely it resembled dance. And I thought that down the line, that might be something that really made us unique and made us stand out and made us relatable and memorable to the community.
And has there been an event, like a specific event that happened to you in the dance community that maybe led you to fighting for dance workers' rights?
Yeah. I think I think it's just the overall experience. I
Okay.
can't say I can pinpoint. I mean, it wouldn't be fair to pinpoint one experience because the issues are universal for a lot of the experiences. So one job might have paid more, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they had their equity stuff together, right? Or one job might have been really great along those lines of like racial equity, but that doesn't mean that I was compensated fairly for that work, a livable wage for
Mhm.
that work. So I think it's my overall experience just in the field, um, really navigating and moving between different spaces. My first job, or first major kind of big job that I had was at the Metropolitan Opera, which was a AGMA union house, right?
Mhm.
So starting in that place, working under those conditions, and then joining Ailey 2, right? Ailey 2 was not a union company, but I was touring on the road, so a completely different experience. And then now returning to the Met, but kind of freelancing more around New York, that experience, right? So just navigating all of those different experiences, seeing, like I just said, how some places have this but don't have quite have this together, or vice versa, and you know, just trying to find a way where we can start to have some of those places that do um, have more of their stuff together, so that it can be more inviting and welcoming to more people in the community.
And so earlier you named a couple facets that need to be improved, right, within the dance community. What would you say is the biggest one for you?
Ooh, I think the biggest one, I'm gonna do a tie, um, is disability justice and racial justice. Um, I think that they're just two very complex issues with two very complex histories, and both of those communities. And both of those communities. I want to specifically talk about the Black community when I say racial justice. Just to be clear, that's the community I'm discussing right now. Um,
Sure.
both of those, no, for sure. I think it expands, but this is my experience, so I'm talking about that. But yeah, I think those are the two things. But I will say, I think that dancers' wages, that's one of my biggest things that I fight for, is for dancers to have a livable wage. So that is definitely at the forefront of my, you know, purview and what I'm looking at. But I do think the biggest issues are disability justice and racial justice for sure, which is all connected, to be clear. It's all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to hear you say more about that, how disability and racial justice are connected. I don't think I've had that conversation before, but I'm seeing it in my head. I would love for you to talk about that.
Well, I think it's how they're related, but then also how that relates to the wage issue. I
Okay.
think we have to look at, you know, just historically how these people have access to certain things within this economy, ecology, society. So I would say that, you know, Black femmes are at the bottom of that totem pole. The disabled community are at the bottom of that totem pole. So when it comes to now, when we're looking at the dance industry, it is an issue when we have conversations about wage, because I always say this, but I say it's a privilege to be able to work for free, right? That is a privilege. There's something that you have that somebody else doesn't have to be able to make that happen, right? So that's either someone else who can make up the income that you're not going to be making in rehearsal, more time, right, in your schedule because you have enough time to commit to something for free, and then time to not to commit to something else that pays to make up for that time. Um, like there has to be, which, you know, more ability, right? So the assumption that someone can have another job other than their job is ableist, right? So there's lots of different things that are connected there. So that's why I think it's especially important for the disabled community, right? Who is often not given access to so many things in society in general, especially in the dance field. It is connected to wage, right? And then the same thing with Black dancers. These dancers aren't often hired for certain things, but certain things on the stage um, are sometimes appropriating their culture or their experience. So I think that there's several different layers there, how they're connected. But yeah, I think those are a few to get us started.
No, that's amazing. These conversations are so important, and I try to encourage so many people. I'm a pause.
No, you're good. I tried to be discreet. I was turning my heater on because it was getting a little cold. I am so sorry. I was like,
Okay.
while she's talking, I'm gonna run over here real quick.
Okay. No, that's okay. I was like, oh, no.
No.
These conversations are so important, and we have to start having them if we want to be able to represent people properly. And I
Yeah.
think that I always say as dancers can be leaders in these conversations for the general public, not even just in the dance community. But what
Yeah.
you said about how Black people, black bodies, and Black people and disabled people's bodies
Yeah.
are the ones that are most marginalized. So of course they're going to be paid less. So
Yeah.
that how that intersects. Very, 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 very good.
Yeah.
Which leads me to this. Can you talk to us about your new Black Dance Changemakers? Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yes, I would love to talk about Black Dance Changemakers. So, and thank you for bringing this up and giving me space to share this. Black Dance Changemakers is essentially a social platform designed to unite and uplift Black identifying dancers through leadership, education, service, and community building. We offer a safe, resourceful community for Black dancers around the world to connect with each other. So that's our mission statement, right? The fancy. But basically, Black Dance Changemakers is really just kind of like an online community for Black dancers to come together and connect with one another on so many different issues. So, Black, what does it mean to be Black? We don't define that for folks. We're not handing out Black cards or revoking Black cards, but it's for people that are proud in their Blackness and can stand firm in their Blackness. That is a prerequisite. And dancer, what does it mean to be a dancer? We're not defining that for people either. We want to make sure that it is a space for dancers, choreographers, teachers, dance writers. We have videographers and filmmakers on the platform. We have like so many different people who are attached to this field in so many different ways. So it's a really expansive community where we offer lots of different events. So we offer kind of like our Conversations with Changemakers event each month, which is kind of like our keynote, but less of like a presentation and more of a conversation. So we invite folks who we consider to be industry leaders to come in and have a conversation with our members of our community. But in addition to that, we have cooking classes, we have fitness classes every month. We have different community sharing events, right? So I'm a firm believer that we have so many resources and so much brilliance within our community. It's already there. It's just about sharing it. So each month we have an event. Last month we had a productivity and organizational share where we share our tips and tricks in that. This month we're doing a online teaching share where we share some of our tips and tricks for navigating that new space. So that's a big thing we have. We have our Vibe Tribe Music Club, which is really dope for us to come and connect on music. That feels really important to us culturally as dancers and as Black people. We also have our Turning Page Book Club, which is really exciting. So right now we're tackling Elaine Welter-Roth's More Than Enough. And each quarter we tackle a different book and dive in and really try to pick books by Black authors that reflect the Black experience. What else do we have on the platform? This month we're doing a vision board party. So we also have different events that are niche specific depending on the time of the year and the month. We just wrapped up our food drive. which was really exciting. I'm happy to share that we raised 337 different canned food items to donate nationally. And we did that in partnership with Feeding America. So Black Dance Changemakers, and you notice there was not much dance, right, described within that. So it was really important for me. I feel like one thing that happens in our field in general and in our Black dance field is there's a little bit of a hierarchy, right? That reflects this capitalist culture that we're all a part of. And I didn't want Black Dance Changemakers, we connect on two things, our Blackness and the fact that we dance or we have dance as a part of our life. It's not here to have the best dancer is at the front of the room and the dancer who is less famous or has less followers or isn't with this company is in the back. It's a space where we connect on that one thing, but we find other things for us to connect on that are outside of our dancing, right? So we're trying to expand those other things that are important to us, right? Which is our education, which is our service to our community, which is engagement with those around us and how we can kind of serve the communities that have brought us forward to the places that we are at right now. So that's a pretty quick overview of it.
That
It's
was
a really
amazing.
exciting platform. Thank you, thank
And,
you.
and you know,
Yeah.
say someone's learning about this for the first time, how do they become a member? How do they, where
Yeah.
do they find it?
Yes, thank you. So if you go to blackdancechangemakers.com, or you can look us up on Instagram, Black Dance Changemakers. And it's really super simple. The application takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you want to take on it. Super short. We do give priority application review to those who identify as femme or disabled, just to make that clear now. So if you are listening and do identify in those categories, we highly encourage you to apply for the platform. After that, we have a team of folks that I do want to shout out really quick. My incredible Changemakers team, Alicia Johnson, Alicia Peak, Fauna Tespia Georges, and Tamisha Guy. They are my incredible team. And
That is an
backbone.
incredible lineup.
Yeah, shout out Black women, right?
That is an
So,
incredible lineup of women. Wow.
yeah. So they are backbone, wind beneath my wings, as they say, like the ones that really keep me together and keep me accountable. So I wanted to make sure I shout them out. But we review applications, and to be super clear, the application is not to be exclusive, but to be inclusive, and to get to know more about the applicants, to really make sure that this community is right for them. And then after that, we just finished our self-paced orientation. So we used to have live orientations, but we found that that was kind of an entry barrier for folks depending on their schedule. So now we have an orientation course that takes less than an hour to complete, where you learn about our house rules. We talk a little bit about white supremacy culture, which is what helped us develop those house rules. And then we also walk people through how to use the web and mobile, because we do have apps that we use. So we have a web and mobile app that you can join on. And we want to make sure that after the orientation, everybody is fully ready to go to join in and participate fully on the platform. So I think the fastest that process could probably be done is like 3 days. But it's also self-paced, so if you need to take a little bit longer and process the information and decide if it's the right community for you, that's also an option. So like I said, yeah.
No, this is amazing. What made you begin this?
So Black Dance Changemakers, we officially started like September, October, but we really started on June 1st, which if you go on your Instagram and look, there's probably a black square on your Instagram.
Yeah, I was about to say, I remember. Right. I remember.
Yeah.
How could we forget?
Yeah, right. And that is hashtag the show must be paused. Even though I didn't know we could pause the show, that's fierce. If I could have paused the show, I would have paused it a long time ago. But what a privilege it is to pause the show. Right. But
I thought the show always went on. Listen, I've been on this hamster wheel trying to make the show go on. I didn't know we could pause it.
But let me tell you, I found out that day that we could, except I remember that I actually couldn't, that my experience didn't get to pause that day. So while everyone was telling me, or I felt like the community was telling me to pause and be quiet in a certain way, I needed to talk to my community. So I literally hopped on my phone, and every Black dancer I could think of, I know I missed a few people, just put that out there, but every person I could think of, I made a big iMessage group chat. And just was like, key, what's up, what's the tea? Zoom chat, hop in, tap in, let's chat for a second. And we did that day. And then we did it every single week, all the way up until about September when I decided to actually launch the platform.
Mm.
So we were already having specific conversations about white supremacy in dance education and in commercial and concert dance, and different fields in the different areas of the dance field. We were having conversations about sexual harassment. We were having
Mm.
conversations about budgeting. We were already kind of doing some of these things. So I was like, okay, how can I expand this community outside of my contact list on my phone, right? How can I expand this for that one Black dancer at their studio back home, right? How can I expand
Mhm.
that for that one Black dancer in that dance company in that city, right? Because we have to break that down. You being the only Black dancer in certain cities, in a certain
Mm.
company, you could be the only Black professional dancer in that city, depending on the company, right? So
Yep.
talk about community and need for community. So I took advantage of this moment where we really weren't connecting face to face like we were before, but we have this online platform, things like Zoom, things like the app that we have and we connect on now. Um, I took advantage of that moment and found a space so that, our vision is to empower Black dancers everywhere. So we're taking advantages of these new tools that we have to do that. So we have dancers all around the world
All around
who
the
are on
world.
this
All around the
platform
world.
and who are invited to be on this platform. Yes. So
Amazing.
Canada, Europe, United States, everywhere.
You
This
name
is
it.
for everyone. Yeah. You
That's
name
amazing.
it.
Antoine, you have situated yourself as a pretty, like, I would say, in my opinion, a pretty prominent young Black dance leader
Okay.
in our community. I think so. And if you haven't seen his Instagram, please check it out. It's phenomenal. It's a masterclass on how to present yourself
Mhm.
um, as a professional dancer. But I feel like you would have a lot of great things to say with my next question, which is, what advice would you give to a young dancer, maybe younger than you, wanting to
Mhm.
learn more about dance workers' rights and just advocating for yourself as a dance artist?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for all those kind words. You know, I don't know if I see it all, but if I can, help guide or inspire anybody to get closer to their dreams and their liberation, I'm fine with that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Um,
Of course.
and what I would say to that person, um, so first of all, join DANC, right? Dance Artist National Collective, right? Join us. That is the work that we're doing in these spaces. But do your research and find different spaces around you in which you can do those things, right? So I'm in New York, so Dance NYC is a great resource for that, or the Dance Union podcast, right? To just give some shout outs to some other incredible allies in this field doing this work. SLM Dances, also want to shout out Sydney Mosley and her crew. But yes, do your research, find those places. But I want to talk about advocating for yourself specifically, right? And I want
Yes.
to say that, yeah, this world of advocating for yourself is hard. It can be lonely. It's not easy. So, what I would say to that person who might be interested in this kind of work or interested in being able to advocate for yourself better is you have to really be clear about your values and what you're willing to advocate for, and that'll kind of makes things crystal clear, right? So if you're in a position where you feel like it's time to advocate for myself, why do you feel that? Right?
Mm.
It's probably connected to one of your values. And if you're really centered and clear about your values, you'll realize that it's actually not that hard to give up that thing that you're feeling tension with advocating for yourself for, right? So that's what I say about the fierce dance job that doesn't pay you minimum wage, right? Or the fierce dance job that you're working in the, you're on Dance Magazine, cover of Dance Mag, but working with that director every day is hell on earth. That's what I say to those people, is that you're in this position that you consider to be a dream, but if you really look at your values, is that really the dream you have? Is
Mm.
making less than, when you were a kid and you imagined yourself being a professional dancer, what did it look like? Did it look like
Right.
running around working 20 jobs just to barely make rent?
No,
No,
it looked like living in a penthouse, getting
right.
paid to dance.
Or at least getting to wake up, or at least getting to wake up, go dance, and maybe be done for the
And then
day,
maybe be done
right?
for the day. Yes,
Right. Like,
absolutely.
well, I mean, so getting back to like values in that way, and that's what I would say is like, if you want to have everything and gain everything, you have to be willing to lose it all, right? And you have to be
Okay.
willing to enter that situation or that conversation or that negotiation knowing that in order for you to fight for everything on the table that you need, there's a possibility that you might leave with nothing. But it's knowing that you
Sacrifice,
leaving
right?
with nothing is more
Mhm.
dignified than you leaving with those things that you had on your table as your must haves being taken away from you. So that's kind of my
There
viewpoint.
it
And it's
is.
hey, that's really hard, right? So I'm not saying, oh, you heard this here, folks, so now you can go do it. No, that's something that's really hard. But a self-check that I always do is have that conversation with myself. Why
Mhm.
is it so hard to say no to this director that cusses me out every rehearsal and touches me inappropriately and says racist comments? Why is that such a difficult? Why is it so hard? Like I do you, like we must enjoy showing up and kind of,
Mhm. Yeah,
complaining about like when we really get close to those values, I think that can help us navigate this space. And it takes a lot of faith too, right? It's not going to be an easy thing. It might require more works in other places as well.
right.
Um,
And it
so
takes a community like Dank
yeah,
um, to sometimes remind you of what those values are.
hmm
So sometimes we
exactly.
forget,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We get a little lost in the sauce.
Or you forget, or I'd like to say that didn't even know, right?
Or
Like
didn't
I
even
always
know,
tell
yeah.
this story. I always tell this story. When I started working at the Met and we had 10-minute breaks every hour, I didn't know that a world existed where you got 10-minute breaks every hour, right?
I didn't either. Wait,
When I danced with
I
Ailey
didn't
too,
either.
we got 5-minute breaks every hour, right? Which is fine and great. I'm not complaining on the five, but I mean, the most I imagined was that there was a world with 5-minute breaks, and then I get a world with 10-minute breaks, right? So that's a simple example that a lot of dancers don't even get breaks, right? So it's like
Right.
it's about knowing, right, and having access. And I love Dank because you're in there with a lot of different dancers that are can dance and pay their rent, dancers who are in a different, completely, place with their work right now, and I love that because it's about my dad used to always say, if you know better, you do better, right? So me
That's
being
it.
able to share with someone that, hey, they can afford to give you a break every now and then, or hey, they can afford to like give you your schedule more than the night before, right? So little things like that. I think it's about forgetting, but I also think it's important to have spaces where we educate, to continue to let members of our community and the young dancers coming up know about how to navigate this field in a healthy and safe way.
Amazing. Amazing. What, and this is kind of broad. This is a little broad, but just
Mhm.
in like a few sentences, what do you imagine the future of dance to be like? In your, not in like realistically, just in
Mhm.
your own imagination, right? How would you like to see the world of
Um,
dance?
well, I think that I'm gonna do a little two-parter. I think that what is gonna happen with the world of dance now, there's gonna be a shift, and it's already starting to happen. And
Hmm.
I love the shift that's happening. Um, the marginalized groups that don't often get to participate are used to innovating, are used to creating,
Mm.
are used to making it work, right? Are used to making $5 out of 2 dimes, right? We're used to doing that work. So now that we're in this mode of pandemic and we're all in survival mode, it's really exciting for me to see those dancers who may not have, I'll just list some random things, the traditional body type, right? Or may not have been to this top 10 school, right? Or may not have been first pick or first cast. It's really nice to see those dancers who are used to learning the step in the back, right? Who are used to taking that extra class, who are used to having to get creative with their submissions so that you would actually look at their application, right?
Hmm.
It's really exciting to see those dancers now starting to be pushed to the forefront and celebrated for their creativity and for their other gifts. I'm also excited that right now, I say this a lot, but being the best dancer has never required you to be the most creative. Being the best dancer is who can follow directions the best.
Hmm.
Let's think about that. It's not about being the most creative. In a field that we equate so much to creativity, being the
It's
best
not.
dancer has nothing to do with creativity. So I'm excited that now we're in a place where we can really start to celebrate those who are creative, right? The things
Mhm.
that we celebrate in this field, we can start to celebrate those. So I've seen people who we're never booking things and are booking things. People who have had like these side hustles that they've been working at and really trying to build with. And now the world has flipped a little bit and they're the first person on the call sheet and the first person getting the call. So I'm really excited to see how these quote unquote marginalized communities are pushing forward and going to shift what we see in this dance world. And my dream for the dance world is a world where everybody can dance and be paid. And that can be all they do. If you want to do all the other jobs, that's lit. But I feel like so many dancers don't want to be doing a lot of the work that they have to do. And I'd love to get back to this place of dance being of pleasure and of enjoyment. And I think it is possible. So that's my dream. My two kind of, one is like what I think is happening, and then one is my dream that's a little bit further down the line. But I hope and will work for one day for that to be a reality.
Love it. Antuan, what's next for you after this?
Oh, listen. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going with the flow and figuring it out as I go. I that's kind of what I've been doing this whole time, and it's been working out all right. So I think that what we all are hopefully doing is staying flexible, staying open, staying creative. And that's what I plan to do. So right now we're obviously in pandemic mode. So, I have a few performance projects here and there, and I'm working on some exciting like other types of media projects with other brands and companies. So, and Dank and Changemakers and Agma Black Caucus, shout out to them in that group. I'm giving a lot to those spaces right now. So that's short term what's next. And then hopefully when this pandemic is over, you can catch me on stage somewhere again very soon.
I love that. And I hope to find each other in a dance studio, dancing together in a room.
We will. We always find each other. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we will.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
And Antuan, can you tell us when the next Dank community meeting will be?
Yes, I can. And thank you for reminding me and helping me remind our community. We will be starting back with our Dance Artists National collective community response meetings on next Monday, which is the 7th, yes. And that will be
Monday.
Monday, basically. So please join us. And yeah, I hope to see you there.
Please come.
Yes,
and
come
bring all of your stuff.
That's right. And bring all of your people, right?
Yes.
Invite your folks. Yes.
Invite a person.
Yes. At least one, each one reach one.
Yes. That's right. Well, Antuan, that is the end of this interview. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you for talking with me. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited and honored that I got to have this conversation with you. So thank you.
It's mutual.
Yes.
And I hope that we can continue the series.
Yeah.
It might not be me talking, but I do love to talk. So.
Well, I'm excited to see who else you have up.
Yes, me too.
Excited. We have such a great Dank community, so I will be looking forward to it.
That's right. Me too. Yeah. All right, Antuan.
Bye. Thank you, Joy Marie.
Peace out, y'all.
Sign our solidarity statement at www.danceartistsnationalcollective.org. Follow us on Instagram at Dance Artists National Collective and on Twitter at DANC National.